It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, July 18th. So we have the moon in Pisces, going void, of course, around 2:44 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and locking into Aries energy, 7:18 a.m. Now, this is a beautiful transition for us because, of course, the moon in Pisces, very heavy, very intense, very emotional, very hypersensitive. We have a lot of ebbs and flows. We're bringing things to an end, bringing things to a closure, a full circle, healing, transformation, especially on a soul and spiritual level, to dive into Aries energy. Aries energy, of course, the very first sign of the zodiac, a fire sign at that. We are looking to start fresh. We are looking to smack the rear view mirror right out of the car. We have no want, need, or desire to look back. We want to jump into something new. We want to assert ourselves. We want to create something new. We want to take the leadership role. We want to be all fired up, bold, courageous, and brave, excited, passionate. We want all of the good. And in order to get the good, we have to leave the bad behind. So this is always a very, very welcomed transit. There are 8 different aspects here today. 7 of them involve the moon. Let me just tell you, though, this is the last day that Chiron, the wounded healer, will be direct. Chiron is preparing to go retrograde on the 19th. This is also the last day of Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, in Cancer before moving into Leo energy, also on the 19th. So what do we know? Well, any day that a planet is preparing to go retrograde, we feel the intensity, we feel the shift, we feel the instability. Any day that we feel that intensity build when one planet is moving out of one energy and into the other, we hit those critical crisis degrees at the very end of the zodiac energy before jumping into a new one. This is an urgency to wrap up this particular lesson that Mercury, of course, in Cancer energy for the last couple of weeks was supposed to teach us. What we know to be true just from knowing that Chiron is about to go retrograde, the wounded healer, right? We're about to do some inner deep diving into our pain and trauma work, into our identity work, into our ego work. And what we know to be true is that Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, has been very emotional, very intuitive, very sensitive in this Cancer energy, very focused on nurturing the inner child, very focused on communicating confidently and clearly, boundaries that need to happen and take place, especially in our personal relationships. So we know that there's going to be some pressure, there's going to be some conflicting narratives that take place here today, and especially when the moon moves out of this, I'm going to say, predisposed victimhood mentality of this Piscean energy and into this raging fire, this raging aggression of Aries energy. We have to be very, very careful with our words, with our actions. So the moon, while still in Pisces, right before it goes void, of course, is going to trine with Mercury. A trine is a good aspect. Mercury, of course, ruler of the mental plane, while the moon represents our heart space. This is our heart and our head getting along. This is our heart and head making sense with one another on the same page. Why? Well, because the moon is in Pisces. That's a water energy. Mercury is in Cancer. That's a water energy. So intuitively, we're on point. Emotionally, we're in agreement. We are wrapping up some life lessons, seeing where some closure is needed, and definitely adjusting and editing, let's say, our perspective, our mental narrative. Now, this could open up a dialogue to have a heart-to-heart and speaking our truth in a way that would provide an ending, a closure, a clear space to start fresh, if you will, in a personal relationship, especially a family dynamic, because we've had a lot of family drama pop off throughout Cancer season. The moon will sextile Pluto This is the last aspect that the moon in Pisces makes before going void, of course. And with Pluto, the god of the underworld, the great transformer himself, a sextile is a positive energy. This suggests that we are really changing our mind, changing our understanding, our perception of a certain topic, a theme, especially where pain and trauma is concerned. Now, like I said, the moon in Pisces is very healing on a soul spiritual level. This Plutonian energy, yes, does kind of highlight the pain and the trauma and the suffering of our past experiences, only to inspire us and motivate us to do better, to step into our power, to take control over our thoughts, over our emotions, and over our actions in our physical realm. So Mercury goes ahead and opposes Pluto. The moon at this point is void, of course. Anytime that the moon is void, things get a little bit shaky. We get a little bit unstable. We don't want to really commit to anything. We shouldn't be making any decisions. Everything is kind of up in the air. And while the moon is void, of course, moving out of that Piscean energy and not quite locking into that Aries energy as of yet, Mercury opposing, sitting across from Pluto, is going to add to a lot of mental pressure. We have an urgency to deal with the issues that we've been trying very hard to just ignore and hoping that they would go away, especially where our home is concerned, where our personal relationships are concerned. We have an issue because of the Plutonian energy. It triggers a lot of paranoia. It triggers a lot of questioning, obsessive thoughts, not so nice narratives. And right now, we are definitely tearing ourselves down and those around us. We're just picking everything apart in order for us to prepare ourselves for a breakthrough, for a shift in narrative, a shift in perspective. Now, this Mercury energy in Cancer at the very final degrees sits across from this Capricorn energy that Pluto is currently in, and Pluto is retrograde, meaning that we have to do some inner reflection. We have to dig deep within ourselves, especially where our psyche is concerned, in order to understand where it is that we've continuously put other people before ourselves and constantly been throwing ourselves into other people's lives in order to distract ourselves from our own problems. This is going to highlight for us where it is we got to stop doing that, where it is we have to choose better for ourselves, where it is that we have to nip the paranoia, the suspicion, the power struggles that we're currently in some particular relationships. We have to address it. We have to get to the root cause of it. We have to feel it in order to heal it. So at 8:15 a.m. is the very first aspect that the moon in Aries is going to make, and it is not a nice one. It is a square with Venus. So a square is a conflict. It's a tension. Venus just moved into Cancer energy. So we're very hypersensitive. We're very emotional. We're very sentimental. We're very passive aggressive here. And the moon in Aries is very, very aggressive, very straightforward, very direct. We're bold. We're brave. We want new. We want to initiate. We want to jump into a brand new chapter, especially emotionally. The problem is that Venus is over here in Cancer energy, which is so attached to the past, so stuck in the past, romanticizing the past in a way that never really happened, that she's really not bold and brave at all. She isn't feeling change. She wants to stick to what is old, tried, tested, and true, even if it's uncomfortable because it's predictable. So this is creating a lot of tension in our emotions because, again, we're struggling with our worth and value with Venus being in Cancer energy. We're struggling with the want, need, and desire to stick close to home while emotionally speaking, we just want to get out in the world and have a different experience. And overall, this is just going to be a cluster F of impulse versus just wanting to stick to home, right? We want the excitement. We want new experiences, but yet we don't want to leave our comfort zone in order to have them. The moon in Aries is going to semi-square Uranus, another little bit of tension. So the Uranian energy in a negative aspect means that we're cold, we're rigid, we're confused, we have a little bit of chaos going on. This is essentially setting us up for a breakdown, preparing us for a very grand breakthrough. Now, the moon in Aries, again, just wants to jump into something new, while this Uranian energy over here in Taurus is very low and slow to want to change. Taurus is a fixed energy. And this Uranian energy is trying to highlight for us where it is that we haven't even fixed the issues in our here and now. We really have no business pushing ourselves to jump into something new. And of course, that's not going to bode very well emotionally, because we just have the want, need, and desire, the urgency, the impulse to try something new, while this Uranian energy is like, you know what? You really need to just focus in on the here and now, clean up the mess from the past, clean up the mess from today before you go ahead and open up a brand new experience. So the moon is going to also semi-square the true node, adding to the confusion and the chaos on what it is that we're going to do with ourselves. That true node wants to get us on the right path in order for us to reach our highest potential, our soul's mission, our soul's purpose. The true node is in Taurus energy as well, needing us to be very fixated on acting logically, practically, strategically, and very much in a calculated fashion, so that we're not wasting time and energy. Now, this isn't going to bode very well for the moon in Aries, because the moon in Aries doesn't care about the consequences, doesn't care about low and slow, doesn't even care about the long term. We want to have fun now. We want to act now, deal with the consequences later. We want new experiences. We want new excitement. We have new passions. We have new desires. The true node is not about that. The true node wants us to think the long-term game plan, because we're not down for wasting any time and energy, especially on things that we're going to have to clean up before we go ahead and actually start making improvement, growth, and progress on the actual path that we should be on. This is when the moon is going to bump into, conjunct, sit next to Jupiter. Jupiter is in Aries energy, preparing to go retrograde at the end of the month. So he's not moving hardly at all. He's just very stationary, sitting in this Aries energy. Now, let me tell you, there's two ways that this can manifest. I'll give you both. The pro to this is that we are feeling big and bold and brave, and we're recognizing where it is that we want to grow and improve. We are reactivating our motivation, our inspiration. We're renewing our energy, our focus. We are thinking big, dreaming big, hyping ourselves up, getting all kinds of excitement, overwhelming with the high vibes, okay? That is option number one. Option number two is that we are overly dramatic. We are throwing a tantrum. We are feeling the impulse and urgency tenfold. We want to jump into something new. We are feeling so freaking overwhelmed with options. We don't know what to focus on. We're a little bit scatterbrained. We don't know what to believe. And therefore, we're just damn well irritated and semi-angry. Now, be careful on how you let this energy manifest. It is a make or break situation, and especially feeding off some of the not so nice aspects that we've been facing here since the moon moved into Aries. We're kind of in a funk. And let me just expand on that funk a little bit further, because we wrap the day up with the moon semi-squaring Saturn. A semi-square, again, not such a nice aspect or interaction with the Lord of Karma himself. Here's the thing. Saturn wants to remind us that we have a job to do. We have tasks, we have chores, we have roles, we have responsibilities, we have commitments. We have to boss up, we have to be mature, we have to take care of our commitments before we go ahead and have fun. The moon in Aries is not about this. The moon in Aries does not want to have a list of things to do. The moon in Aries does not want to have to think about the roles and responsibilities that we've committed to other people. The moon in Aries just wants to think about what we want, what we need, what we desire as us, me, the individual. Now, Saturn is over there, retrograde in Aquarius energy that is focused on other people. And the moon in Aries is over here just wanting us to focus on ourselves. We want to have fun. We want to bust free. We want a new experience. We want excitement. We want passion. We want desire. And Mr. Saturn over here, the military grandfather of the zodiac, if you will, is trying to show us that, guess what? You can't have fun until your list is done. And that doesn't feel so good. That is not jamming. That is not vibing. That is definitely going to irritate us to the nines, definitely frustrate us. And if we're not careful, we're going to throw a tantrum and project our anger and frustration out into the world, creating drama that we will have to clean up before we can move on.